Hello, everybody. My name is Joni Siegel, and this is the Why I Help podcast. This podcast is dedicated to the majority of people who are, in fact, good people doing good things. This podcast is designed to counter the mass media, which likes to focus on a very small percentage of people who are doing bad things to good or bad people. Anyhow, we just want to spread the good news. That's what this podcast is all about. There are lots of people out there who are doing things to help other people, and that's what we're focusing on. Today, we're going to talk to a lady named Rachelle McCray. She's a nationally recognized television show host, entrepreneur, and philanthropist. She's also a patient whose mother, Mindy, is a kidney transplant recipient and the inspiration behind her nonprofit organization, the MinMinBear Foundation. In 2011, Rachelle's mission to help others gained a voice in the form of a crown when she won the title of Miss Arizona, United States. During her reign, Rachelle dedicated her year to educating and advocating for kidney disease patients while teaching the importance of living organ donation. It's an interesting concept. I think a lot of us have in our will to donate our organs after we die, but sometimes people need actual living organs, and I think that's what Rachelle is going to talk to us about. So without further ado, let's talk to Rachelle McCray. Rachelle McCray, thank you for being willing to be on our podcast and tell your story.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me. I feel very honored.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So tell us about your background. I gave a little bit of a bio, but where did you grow up? We're talking to you today because you are doing amazing things to help other people. And was that whole concept laid in your childhood? Tell us how you grew up.
So my name is Rachelle McCray, and I am originally born and raised on the West Coast in Arizona. I was born in Phoenix and then lived almost all of my life up until recently there on the West Coast. So growing up, I went to school, and my parents were middle-class working parents. Now, my story is a little unique because my mom was so young when she had me. She was very young. She was actually only 16 years old.
Oh,
so
my.
I have a very young mother, but I actually found it to be, I've had a lot of advantages having a young mom because I get the opportunity to kind of grow up with her in a sense. We're very close. And her story blended into my story, which is how I became the founder of a nonprofit organization, the MinMinBear Foundation, because we have a genetic kidney disease that runs in my family. So my mom was my cheer coach growing up. She was my pageant, cheerleader, seamstress, crown fixer, tear holder. She kind of did it all. So, this is a very important cause. And I get very emotional talking about my mom because, as you know, she is sick right now. So that's that.
Okay. And so it's called Alport?
So we have a genetic kidney disease called Alport Syndrome, or a lot of people refer to it also as glomerulonephritis. Alport Syndrome is genetic, and it is passed generally. It was thought from father to daughter and mother to son. And a lot of the research has shown that we are not carriers if we are women. We actually are women with the disease. But for a long time, especially as my mom was growing up and as I was growing up, the information was not where it is today. And so luckily, science has really moved forward for families like myself. And I actually, at my age, I'm 37 years old, just found out through a blood test that I do, in fact, have the same genetic kidney disease that my mom did. And a lot of it growing up was when I became 16, it was like, well, try not to have a boy, or maybe don't have kids at all because they're probably going to have this genetic disease. And it's worse for boys than it is for girls. And so I went through this transition of my life of hearing not to have kids, or be careful about the type of the gender of the child that I have. And there was all this misconceptions. And now there are so many more scientific revelations about our disease, and there's more information out there to where now, they have come up with ways to prolong kidney health. You don't need a kidney transplant as young. There's a lot of things that have changed now in the 17 years or 18 years since that was told to me. And so this genetic disease is getting a lot of attention and a lot more research for families like ours.
Well, that's huge, because to be told at 16, maybe don't have kids, maybe, okay, make sure you don't have a boy. How are you going to do that? I'm not real sure what the thought process was behind that. But to be told that at 16, it's not helpful. I'm sorry.
No.
It's just not helpful.
No, and it's interesting because in the community, there's a lot of ways now through different medications, now through blood testing that you don't have to have a painful biopsy anymore to find out if you have this disease. There are all these things out there that help us, but that was not the case 20 years ago. And imagine being my mom, who was biopsied at 3 years old and knew at the time her father died of this kidney disease at the age of 23. He was on dialysis.
Oh my goodness.
So imagine my grandmother, who just had my uncle, who was an infant, only a few months old from my understanding when he passed away. She has a 3-year-old daughter. They confirmed that my mother now has Alport syndrome, but there wasn't a lot that meant. It just meant, by the way, your kid has this kidney disease and you should probably watch her. Now think about my mom going through having a child at 16, which actually benefited her because she went into kidney failure at a very young age. She started going into kidney failure at the age of 30, but didn't find out about it till around the age of 36. So you kind of look at the progression of science and of the medical field and how it is helping families like mine. And so I tell my story often and almost daily, especially now with Foundation, because there's so many more resources out there. And Alport syndrome is not as rare as that it once was, because now there's more people being tested for it and they're finding that more people have it than they thought. So, that's kind of one of the things that makes our story a little bit unique, is there's this quote, rare disease. And although it's rare, it's not as rare as it probably thought to be once was.
Right. Okay. So tell us about the MinMinBear Foundation. What's the significance of the name? How did you start it and where it is today?
So my mom's name is Mindy. Her name is Melinda, but we call her Mindy. And my dad's nickname for her is MinMinBear. And when I was Miss Arizona in 2011, and one of the things that many pageant systems promote is the idea of having a platform. And a platform is something that you use to speak out on. It's something that is relevant to your life, that's maybe prevalent in your life, or that has touched you for some reason or another. And being that my mom had just gone through her kidney transplant in 2005, this was a big deal for me. This was something that was really important to me. And but when I originally started the MinMinBear initiative, before we were ever a foundation, the idea was, for the year of my reign as Miss Arizona, I would speak out on kidney disease. And I wanted to find a way to help raise funds and fundraising for families who have chronic kidney disease, chronic kidney failure, or waiting on the transplant list. Because at that time, the government had actually cut funding that was helping families pay utility bills or buy groceries if they couldn't work. And we didn't have the funding at the time. And so I came alongside the National Kidney Foundation of Arizona, and I said, I have this idea. I want to use these bears and tell the story of my mother, Mindy, and my paternal grandfather, David, who gave his kidney to my mom to save her life. And I want to tell their recipient and donor story through the message of bears. And I want to raise money by selling them. And I want to give all the money to you to go to other patients and their families. And that's what we did. We created this initiative with only 2 bears to start, MinMinBear and Albie Bear, named after the middle name of my grandfather, who gave up his kidney for my mom to live. And we went around the state of Arizona and we told their story. And that initiative lasted a couple years. The Kidney Foundation used it for a little while, but I couldn't drive it anymore because I work in television, as you had mentioned. My career was taking off, and I just wasn't working on it the same once I gave up my title. So fast forward to 2020, when we find out that my mom, it's technically 2019, but 2020, and we find out that my mom needs a second kidney transplant. And we need a way to tell her story and find a donor. So we thought, well, why don't we bring the MinMinBears back? And why don't we tell our story? And why don't we send the bears around the country to live their best lives the way we hope my mom can? And ultimately, what ended up happening was we turned it into a foundation because more people than my mom need a donor. And more people than my mom are waiting for that gift. And more people than my mom have a story to tell. So we decided to create a 501c3. And ever since then, that's how it was born. And we've been doing it ever since.
Awesome. And you sell the bears, basically.
We do. So we have two different ways that we fundraise. The first way is that I say everyday people because we also have businesses that get involved, but everyday people or recipients or families or donors or nurses or doctors will buy the bears individually and they will gift them. We also have people that will donate. So they buy a bear and then we donate the bear instead of them taking it home. We donate it. We also have business partners who come alongside and they will purchase bears that we donate to the local hospitals all around the country to children, pediatric patients who are currently awaiting transplant. So we have three missions at the MinMinBear Foundation. We educate, we advocate, and we comfort. And that comfort component is really important.
Okay, you have to show the bear. We can barely see the bear.
So I will show you the originator of the bunch. This is Minman. So she is named after my mom, Mindy, and her shirt is different than all the other bears. Her shirt says, "Love me with all your kidney." And that's something that we kind of stand behind here at the MinMinBear Foundation is, you know, to give someone up to a kidney is to love them more than anything, right?
Yep.
So this is the original bear that started it all. Then we have Albie Bear, and Albie is named after my grandfather, David Albert. He is the one who donated his kidney to my mom to save her life. And his shirt says, "I love you with all my kidney." And so he's special to our collection as well. So you have the donor and the recipient, and these are the two that really started it all. But then when we launched the foundation, we decided that we needed to add to it because there's not just a donor and a recipient in the story of people who needed a organ donor.
Right.
There's also the caregiver and the friend and the people who walk alongside us, the doctors and nurses, and the people who are our champions. And so this is Winsky Bear, and her shirt says, "I love you with all my kidney." And she was named after a friend of ours who came alongside the MinMinBear Foundation and gave us the very first donation ever so we could start the manufacturing of the bears. And so we honored her by naming her Winsky Bear. And then last but not least, we just expanded the bear collection. Thank you to, I was mentioning there was a blood test that I had done by a company called Natera, and they have their very own bear that we've named in honor of them for the science and the research and the things that they're doing. And because of their sponsorship, we actually were able to distribute over 3,000 bears across the country so far to date because of how much they've been able to support our foundation. So he represents the way that science has come along beside us and genetics has really changed the game. So we have 4 different bears to choose from, and all of these bears go to pediatric patients, their families, and just anyone who wants the comfort of a bear.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's just fabulous. It's just a fabulous idea and everybody can contribute to it.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things I noticed, Rachelle, when I was reading a little bit about you and the MinMinBear Foundation, you are looking for living donors. And I kind of all of a sudden got the concept, you know, wow, a lot of us will put in our will, you know, donate my organs. I'm going to donate my I'm going to donate my organs when I die. But I don't think too many people think about, unless it's a family member, donating an organ while you're still alive. And that's something that I think is needed, right? There's a big need for that.
So more than ever, you know, there's over 100,000 people waiting for a kidney transplant for all different types of reasons. And the interesting thing is that we only need one kidney to live a healthy, thriving life. And many people don't actually realize that. And to be honest with you, before I started advocating for living organ donations specifically. I didn't know that either until my mom went through her transplant. My grandfather was 65 years old when he donated his kidney to my mom. And he just turned 80 2 weeks ago, or about a week ago.
Didn't slow him down.
No, no, it's not than I do. But we only need one kidney to live. And, having an organ donor when you do sign up as what we call a deceased donor, is still a huge gift. But to be able to make that sacrifice while you're alive is literally not only life-changing for the donor, they've proven scientifically, but it's obviously life-saving for the recipient and the person who needs it.
Understood. Are there situations where someone cannot use a kidney after someone has died? Are there situations where that occurs?
Yes. So getting a match is actually really difficult. It's kind of like finding a needle in a haystack. You have to have all different types of markers match. You have to have blood match, then you have to have tissue match, then you have to have arteries match. And then there's a lot of other factors that go into it. It's actually very complicated to find a donor. As a matter of fact, for my family alone, we probably had 9 different people tested just this round before. This isn't including my mom's first transplant, and none of them have been a match. And they won't just take an organ from anyone. People that are seemingly healthy that go through these rigorous tests to find out whether or not they can donate, find out that they might have underlying high blood pressure they didn't know about. They might have a heart condition they didn't know about. They might have different reasons, and we need our kidneys. So it is not easy to become a living kidney donor, actually. But as a deceased donor, there are reasons that they will not take kidneys. It goes off of damage. If someone has an underlying condition that maybe has damaged their kidneys beyond what could be utilized. Also, will the kidney survive in another person? Because they don't always. So there's a lot of things that go into trying to find a deceased or a living donor. But there are absolutely times where you could say, I would like my organs donated, and they can only use a handful rather than everything, if that makes sense. And that's for any organ.
Yeah, no, it does. And yeah, it makes total sense. And I think the fact that you're educating people about this, I think is absolutely huge. It's, every time I do one of these podcasts, I learn something new, that I didn't know. And I appreciate you sharing what you know. Okay. So if our listeners want to get a bear, how do they do that?
So there's, the bears are available for purchase on our website, which is www.MinMinBearFoundation.org. There's a shop there. There you can shop for any of the bears. And if we run low on inventory, which has happened, or if we have a back order, which has happened, at one point they were kind of really popular. So we will make sure that we get that updated. Generally, it might be no longer than a 2-week turnaround if we're back ordered. I say that though before the supply chain went a little crazy.
Yeah,
but you can grab them online, and then business partners that want to come along can actually contact us, and we can let them know. Because some people will say, hey, I'm in this area and we have a local children's hospital. Will you donate there? And we do, and we will. Some people have called and said, I want to donate to a specific dialysis center. So we can, and we will. The bears are CPSIA certified, which means they have the certification that is required to be sold or taken into a children's hospital. So they're certified safe for ages 0 and up. However, I do want to point out, you've noticed Winsky has a tutu. So you can get a bear with or without a tutu, but the tutus are handmade by my mom and my sister. So they are not safe for ages 0 and up. So if you're buying it for a child, I recommend 2 things. Don't get one with a tutu. And then obviously you want to take the tag off when you get it, but otherwise it's safe even with the t-shirt on. So as long as you don't add any accessories, it's safe for children. But you can also send us direct messages and links to order a bear, but ordering through our website is the easiest.
Awesome. Rachelle, thank you for everything that you're doing. Our prayers for your mom, that she needs a donor, right? That she finds a donor soon.
She does. And actually, one of the things, Joni, that we're doing to help her find a donor and other people find a donor is the MinMinBear Challenge. I don't know if you saw anything about that online, but it's really simple. You can take your MinMinBear that you order or your favorite stuffed animal and go live your best life with the bear. The idea is that we're showing everyone how to live their best thriving lives so that we can encourage kidney families what their lives can be and should be, no matter whether your best day is a Netflix day or a beach day or a homeschool day at this point, or a day at the office at home. Take a picture of you and your bear, or your bear living its best life, post it on social media with the hashtag MinMinBearChallenge and tag 3 friends. And it's that simple. The instructions are also on our website, but we're trying to get everybody involved so that we can share the stories of the people who are suffering from kidney disease and are looking for donors, just like my mom.
Awesome. Awesome. Rachelle, thank you so much for being willing to talk to us today and sharing what's going on and sharing everything about the foundation. And thank you. I can't thank you enough.
Well, I'm so honored, and thank you for making room for us today and letting us share our story. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. We're building up the audience for Why I Help podcast, and I'm going to definitely be emailing this out and posting it on social media, but we really want to spread the word. If you can be tested to be a kidney donor, it's a good idea, because there are people like Rachelle's mom who need a kidney in order to live. I know a young person who has kidney disease, and it's scary. So there you go. Rachelle and the MinMinBear Foundation. Check it out online, MinMinBear. I mean, buying a teddy bear for your child or your grandkids, it's kind of a no-brainer. And if it helps the foundation, well, there you go. Y'all take care. We'll be back again talking about good people doing good things.